This podcast is brought to you in part by Dragon Shield. Use code PLAYTOWIN5 at the affiliate link down below for 5% off to help support the show.
Welcome to the Play to Win podcast, where we talk about winning in cEDH. I'm Cam.
And I'm Dylan. This week we are talking about the best decks in cEDH. We're talking about which ones they are. We're going to rank them based on how we feel about them and talk a little bit about each one.
Exactly, yeah. And this is kind of like the most played decks in cEDH tournaments from what I can find. So we're just going to rank them in terms of what we think are best.
Yeah.
With the knowledge that we have as non-tournament winning cEDH players.
Boom. Yeah. We're not ranking them purely on like win percentage or conversion percentage, because there's kind of two different things. There's popular, or maybe even more than two different things. There's popularity. Certain decks are much more popular than the amount that they win. There's the amount of decks that actually win tournaments. And then there's also like conversion rate from the tournament to top 16 or top 10. I feel like those are each different ways to rank these decks. So we'll be loosely thinking about some of those. We've looked at some of the information ahead of time and putting together, of course, our very biased list.
Exactly, yeah. Classic play to win. I love it, yeah. But in non-classic play to win fashion, I have a new thing to show you here for the show. Yes, you said
you have like a toy or something.
I do. I have a new toy for the show in my backpack. Look what I got us. I got us a bigger screen, Dylan. I got us an iPad.
Oh my God! Yes!
Yeah, I'm very excited because now we don't have to be like sitting on our phones.
Oh, that's nice.
While
that's
we're doing
helpful
this
for the reading thing. Ooh,
yeah.
Do you have one of those things where you can put your hand in? Like, you ever see those people with
like I can but then I can't type and hold the microphone at the same time.
That's true. You need to lap it. You need to be able to lap it for what we're doing.
I still need to be able to lap it. Yeah.
Should we get a table so that you can table it?
I would love to get a table again. Yeah. But I think that we've been talking a little bit about this not being our permanent podcast space. So getting a table that fits whatever that new space is going to be, I think is going to be a little bit more important. You can ask Courtney this. I hate making short-term purchases when I know that there's going to be a bigger long-term purchase in the future. I'd rather just like spend the money on the bigger long-term purchase than
that makes sense.
Buy the short-term thing.
We do have a little table that I could put in here, but I don't know if it would actually fit in my office. I have to try that out. That's besides the point.
It's too late right now.
Yeah, we're not going to do it for this episode.
I'm connected to your Wi-Fi already because I hooked this up to my phone.
Technology. Look at that.
So that's really cool. Yeah. So
we're going to use the tablet, the iPad.
We're going to use the tablet. Wow.
Or we're going to call it an iPad. We don't want to advertise for Steve, right? It's a tablet. It could be of any type.
Steve's dead.
Yeah, I know.
It's Tim now.
It's Tim.
I definitely don't want to
like
advertise
less, right?
to
Do
Tim.
we like Tim less?
I don't know.
I don't know enough about either of them.
I don't know. The more that I learn about them, the less I like either of them, I think, is part of the problem.
True for me, too.
Yeah. But yeah, there's like 12 decks here, like the 12 most played decks in the format.
Okay.
That I want to touch on. And I want to do these in no particular order, except for the one that I want to talk about the most first.
Okay, perfect. Yeah.
And that's Kefka.
I
want to talk about Kefka the most first, because this is the newest one.
Yeah, it's got to be. Well, yeah, the Final Fantasies is, I guess we're revealing now, like, Vivi is not on this list?
Oh.
Or is that,
no, Vivi's here. Vivi's definitely here.
Kind of interesting that two of the commanders that are seeing the most play in cEDH right now are both from Final Fantasy.
Well, I think hype is part of that reason.
That's true.
Because neither of them are winning tournaments. They're getting close to it,
right?
But they're not winning tournaments quite yet.
Do you think there's a little bit of, since they are the new kids on the block, everyone is a little bit more focused on them because like they're afraid of what to expect?
So my theory has been that people are over focused on Vivi, and not focused enough on Kefka, at least because that's what I think, because I think that Vivi is inherently stronger than Kefka.
Yeah, so people have to focus on it a little bit more.
So people will kind of have to, and I think Kefka can kind of play the cleanup role a little bit better.
Yeah, Kefka has some really good synergies. We talked about Kefka a little bit when it came out, thinking that like it could fit that role of Crom Tevish side of like mid-range Grixis stuff, and it feels like it's doing that, and it seems like the discard stuff is like really good, especially with the little wizards that double whenever a wizard's triggers, because Kefka is a wizard, so getting double triggers on the Kefka is pretty nuts.
Oh, that's interesting. This first deck that I'm looking at was not playing any of the doublers.
Anything of note in the list?
That's what I'm taking a look for right now. Glasses of Urza is in here.
What is that? Is that what look at everyone's hand?
No, it's tap to look at target player's hand.
Oh, that's kind of good.
I think that is kind of interesting. And the pilot of this build that I'm looking at right now is Comedian, MTG.
Yeah, okay.
Which I think that kind of information in their hands is way stronger than it would be in my hands. Yeah. But they're not playing Yeah, but let me see if this deck
is there like any Dothy Voidwalker? Anything?
Here we go. This list.
What do we got for synergy?
Yeah, so there's another list that also got like a second place finish here that is running a little bit more of like this Wizards thing with Harmonic Prodigy, and they have Dothy Voidwalker, but Ian's list didn't have any black creatures in it besides Talion, I guess. Talion's in here, but there's no Bowmaster in here either.
I think Ian, from what I've seen, at least recently, kind of leans more into good stuffs rather than synergies. He won recently with the Sisay list that was playing Thassa's Oracle and Demonic Consultation, and kind of a lot of normal stuff, cutting like with the one main Planeswalker combo, which, I don't know, kind of makes sense that like the commander is just not as important as playing 99 good cards and playing them well.
I feel like we've said that before. Right? Like that's like, I feel like kind of tried and true. Like the more you build around your commander, the worse your deck gets.
Oftentimes, this can be true. Now, he did win with Sisay. A lot of other people win with Sisay with the deck that is all Sisay cards.
Because that's what the more traditional stuff is.
It is possible, but it does seem like that. Maybe this might just be for certain players. For Ian most likely just wants to play more good cards and doesn't need to lean into the commander quite as much.
But it seems like a lot more of the other builds that are doing well are playing more of these wizards in here just to help like get you some more value off of like your Harmonic Prodigy synergies. Like, have you ever heard of this card, Go-Go Mysterious Mime?
I thought we talked about this one very quickly. I thought about it for Sisay. There are some combos that it enables, right?
Oh, we didn't talk about this one on the set review. No, this is 3 in a red for a 2/2.
Oh, no, I'm thinking of the blue one that copies our activated abilities.
No, this is at the beginning of combat on your turn. You can have Go-Go become a copy of another target creature you control, except it has the name Go-Go. And if you do, it gets +2/+0 and gains haste until end of turn.
Oh, okay.
So I think like you can tutor this up and have it become a copy of
Kefka or one of the doublers.
I feel like this could. I can understand how this could be a Sisay card because you can make it like a Sylvala that taps for even more, or I don't know, something.
Yeah. It's a legend, so it could go in Sisay.
Wow, they were also on Tiny Bones.
Oh yeah, just kind of leaning into the discard stuff.
But Bauble Burglar, which is the one from Foundations.
Which one does this do?
Whenever an opponent discards a card, exile it from their graveyard with the stash counter on it. And during your turn, you can play cards you don't own with a stash counter on them from exile, and mana of any type can be spent to cast those spells. And it has the 3 and a black and tap it to have each opponent discard a card at sorcery speed ability.
Pretty neat with Kefka. That's just, it really turns it into a lot of card advantage. That's
it really does, yeah.
Yeah, I like doubling up on stuff like that, having Dothy, having the Tiny Bones, having like ways to abuse Kefka. Makes sense how just like Grixis good stuff is just like a fine enough strategy, and Kefka is over there. That makes sense to me too.
Oh my god, Displacer Kitten too with
so
Kefka.
Good.
Yeah,
so
you just get to keep blinking Kefka and then draw more cards that will let you trigger Kefka.
Eventually your opponents are going to be hellbent pretty quick if you get to trigger Displacer Kitten a couple times.
That's pretty gnarly.
Yeah, that sounds really good.
This deck does look really cool. You get to play Demonic Council too as like an extra tutor.
Sure.
Because I guess
how are you
discard too, right? With Kefka?
You discard too.
Each player discards a card, so it's way easier to fill up your graveyard with Delirium.
I recently shaved Demonic Council actually out of Rogside, which I'm not sure is right yet, but there were too many times where Demonic Council doesn't really work with the Underworld Breach thing, which is why the tutors are so good, I think, in Rogside. They have the ability to go get Underworld Breach, and then from your graveyard, you cast it again to go find the Lion's Eye Diamond, etc. But with the Demonic Council, sometimes that's hard to do. You really get the one tutor out of it, and then when you try to exile it again, you turn off the ability to go tutor again.
I guess this deck has the grind potential that
you just want to tutor once. You just want to tutor once if I'm Ristic Study or something. You're not looking to necessarily, it doesn't have to be a part of the loop for it to be good in Kefka. You just want to find, the Dothy Voidwalker or the whatever, or the wizard that combo that works well with Kefka.
Yeah,
first.
Exactly. A couple other cards I want to point out, which are a lot of clones in these lists.
Yeah.
Phantasmal Image is back in a lot of these decks because you can just clone Kefka.
It's just Grixis Atali? Is that
basically
what we're trying to do right now? Is just
Atali.
Like, how many times can I make a Kefka trigger of a turn and that'll be good?
Because they also play Arena of Glory. So like if you can get a hasty Kefka, you get the enter the battlefield trigger, and then the same trigger happens on attack too.
That's not bad. That's not bad.
And then if you can follow it up with a clone and get like 3 Kefkas in one turn, that's a lot. I think if you can get at least 2 Kefka triggers on your turn every turn, I think that's like a recipe for success.
If you haste in a Kefka and then the Kefka attacks, and then you make a clone that's a copy of the Kefka and you sack the original copy, the clone of the Kefka will stay around because it wasn't the one that was hastily put in, right? Or I guess the Arena of Glory doesn't actually get rid of it at a turn. It exalts it or something, right?
You're thinking about a tally too much now.
Yeah, it's not end of turn. Arena of Glory exalts it or exalts the land?
You exert the land. So that the creature will gain haste.
And that's it. It just gains haste. No feedback. Okay.
You exert it to make red.
Okay, got it.
And then that creature gains that ability.
Are they playing like Twin Flame stuff too?
No Twin Flame. Only good cards. Only good cards.
That makes sense, yeah.
Although they are, this one list I'm looking at right now is on Essence Flux to blank Kefka,
sure. Okay.
yes. But they're also on Imposter Mech too, which notably cannot
but just
copy
a good
Kefka.
Card. Yeah.
Just probably still just like as a good card.
The Twin Flame, like I guess just Dualcaster is like too bad in Grixis colors. Like there's no need to lean into like, well, you have the option of Twin Flames are good with Kefka and you can Dualcaster Mage, but like
what do you need a third win condition
there's
for?
There's too many
like
other
that?
good stuff, I think, in Grixis colors for you to go that low.
I'm off wanting a third win condition in a lot of decks. I think I want 2 win conditions in most decks at this point, and a lot of times in like a Grixis based decks, it's Underworld Breach or Thassa's Oracle. I guess you know what, because cards like Mnemonic Betrayal, which is also in a lot of these lists, also count as a win condition.
And Praetor's Grasp is Praetor's Grasp. Do you
Not
see
in this
Grasp?
one,
okay.
but it normally counts as another win condition in these decks.
Yeah, that's how I normally think about it for Rockside, which is Grixis, kind of a different type of deck, but still Grixis. And there are a good chunk of times where I feel like I have to Demonic Consultation just in the dark and hope that I hit what I want.
Yeah.
So it's nice that I know that I have technically 4 different cards, and as long as I have one of those left over, I should be able to win the game in most situations.
Flesh Duplicate, just another clone that you get to play to copy your fucking guy. And then any other cards I want to point out? Otherwise, it's just like really good Grixis decks. I feel like Dispel is making a comeback in the format. Should I be playing Dispel more?
Maybe. I don't know. I know there are some I keep on just talking about the decks that I play the most, but I know there are some Sisei pilots that have gone to Dispel and are looking for just like more interaction, more 1-mana interaction, more kind of like reliable protection. And Dispel was always a favorite of mine because it was pretty good at going both ways. It was stopping ad nauseum and it was also protecting your win conditions from other counter spells. But because we've gotten so many good cards in the past years, I've kind of like shaved it a little bit, but I'm also wondering if I should be going back to it. I think mainly like rather than countering ad nauseum, I want to counter Born Upon the Wind. That feels like the other one that I want a really efficient answer to, as well as Dispel being good at protecting your own thing and stopping a whole bunch of other counter spells and stuff like that.
The faster that the format gets, the more I want something like this because it's going to be more about, can I protect my own combo that's going off versus do I have interaction like an offer you can't refuse that can just like stop a wide variety of different things, I guess.
It depends on what you're trying to stop, but I certainly think Dispel is back in the conversation of counter spells that we should be looking at.
All right, well, so far, Kefka, do you have anything else you want to say about Kefka? So far, it's the best deck we've talked about.
It's the best deck that we talked about. I think it's great. I don't know how to rate these yet. We'll rate them against each other, but it's almost a tier 1 cEDH deck. Grixis is just a tier 1 cEDH deck. It kind of doesn't matter who the commander is, and if Kefka's winning right now, then it's Kefka.
Then it's Kefka. And that might be because of recency bias, is that it's just Kefka right now. But hey, she's it's still doing good. Still doing good.
Oh, I guess I have one more thing.
Yeah.
Kefka makes your opponents get to choose which card they discard. I think this is an opportunity where your opponents will make a mistake. And I think giving your opponents more opportunities to make a mistake is good because they're going to be discarding things, talking to each other about trying to plan out which things that they should discard. They're going to get free information because they want you to draw less cards. They're going to be discarding things that maybe they shouldn't, a land when they want to keep a spell in their hand when they need to just be playing land. So I think it gives your opponents like the opportunity to make like a wrong decision because it's so easy to make the wrong decision because you don't know what everyone else is doing or you talk and you reveal information. And I think that's good. Like giving your opponents more decisions is good.
None of the outcomes that they're going to come to
it's all bad.
Feel good.
It's all bad decisions. It's a lose-lose.
Someone gets more cards or you lose the thing that you actually need. Like nothing's actually good for you. Yeah.
And I guess a final thing, I fear Underworld Breach. When I'm playing Kefka, the Rockside player goes, he, I'll discard this Lion's Eye Diamond. On my turn, cast Underworld Breach, and then it didn't do anything to me or whatever. I'm a little afraid of that, but the card draw makes up for that. You draw cards, Kefka. So
you do, whatever. Yeah, you do, yeah. There is one other Grixis deck that we should talk about.
Okay.
That is Rograk Silas.
Rograk Silas.
Have you heard of this deck?
I've heard of the deck.
Yeah, it's a really good deck.
I've been trying the keys with it recently. I like the keys a lot.
Yeah, I saw that short that you made.
Yeah.
Do you want to see if anyone else is trying the keys?
Not a lot of people are winning with the keys.
Not a lot of people are winning with the keys.
At least from some of the lists that I've seen, it didn't seem like a ton of people are winning with the keys yet.
Well, maybe because it's just like secret tech that I think a lot of people don't know quite yet. Yeah. Yeah, let me take a look. Here's a deck that's not on the keys quite yet. that did well. Here's another list that's not on the keys.
You're talking in slow motion right now. Do you know that? Maybe like figure out what you're gonna say, and then say it.
I mean, I'm just gonna cut all that. It's really what's gonna happen. Yeah. Yeah, so far, like, none of these top-performing decks are on keys, from what I can see. But these all took place before the new Tezzeret came out. Are you going to try the new Tezzeret,
I'm going to try the new Tezzeret. If I'm doing the keys, I think I'm going to try the new Tezzeret. I think I'm going to
go all in on it, yeah.
I don't know if the Tezzeret sees play in the non-key versions, but in the ones that I'm playing with the One Ring and the keys, and using Manifold Key and Voltaic Key to untap the One Ring, and Wishclaw Talisman, using stuff like the extra turns to pseudo-untap them again, basically, using stuff like Dramatic Reversal and Manamo to untap the One Ring also. I think Tezzeret works well in that strategy. But I think the core of Rogsai having access to more rituals than the rest of the format, as well as Underworld Breach being really good with the rituals, as well as Thassa's Oracle, Demonic Consultation, like that core just fits really well with what Rograk offers. And I think that'll always be good. And then there will be 10 to 15 to 20 cards that you can make a different version of. But I think most of the lists that are win are realistically probably only like 5 cards off.
Yeah, probably. I mean, I feel like this is one of those decks that are just like so finely tuned at this point. That's just like, if you want to go, hardcore into fast ad nauseum and Grixis, like this is the way to go. Like this Epic Storm kind of build where you get to play like every good reason to have a 0 mana commander in play. Some of them are back on Bolas' Citadel too.
I have like a personal issue with Bolas' Citadel. I think I've had too many situations where I've hit like 3-4 lands in a row and I can't get past them, and then it sucks. It's a very powerful card. I have just always felt like it's a little bit kind of like the worst action spell, but I've been kind of low on Necro Dominance recently, so I would not be too surprised if I went back to Bolas' Citadel.
Yeah, I could see that.
Especially if I'm leaning more into the One Ring and a little bit less into Ad Nauseam. Ad Naus recently, to me, has felt almost closer to like a backup plan. Necropotence is such a strong plan A. That's what I want to be able to do. I want to cast Necropotence on turn 1 like as often as possible. And then if I can't do that, it's like a turn 2 Ad Nauseam, but it's gotten a lot easier to cast Necropotence on turn 1.
I think I see what you mean about Rograk, Silas, and the rituals being a really good home for...
It's a core. It's a good core.
Yeah, especially for like the One Ring too, because like I think even being able to go like Demonic Tutor into the One Ring for 6 mana is something that I feel like you can really easily set up and then really start to get your engine going. Kind of gives you a little bit more of like a late game potential while also still giving you out to the turn 1 Necropotence into a turn 2 win line that I think the deck was really missing, was like a late game potential that's not just Rhystic Study. Like you need something else to be able to do.
The late game grind is helpful, yeah.
And the keys helping you make mana, I think, is also really nice. So
yeah, works with Grim, Monolith, and Mana Vault as well.
Yeah. So where do you rank Rogsai versus Kefka?
I still like Rogsai more than Kefka. That's just me personally, because Rogsai is the deck that I play. They're both good. Rogsai has just been a little bit more like proven over time. It's impossible to really tell because it's been too soon. I think over the next year or so, we'll have a kind of definitive answer of like the way to go with Grixis. But to me, they feel like they are almost a little bit like the opposite ends of the Grixis speed strategy, which is still like realistically like a turn and a half difference maybe. Like Kefka can still be a quick deck. They're playing rituals and fast mana, and they're still have the ability to go fast. But Rogsai is like, I'm trying to go fast. Kefka's like, I can go fast.
Yeah, Kefka can't play like all of the rituals that Rograk can. You have to play way more creatures to make even things like Diabolic Intent make sense in your Kefka deck.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of different tunings that you have to do, and it really just kind of depends on the style of deck that you want to play, I think.
Yeah, and I think both decks have an issue of like becoming like the villain at the table. Like a lot of people are afraid of Rogsai because it can win quickly, and it wins kind of out of nowhere before decks can really do anything about it. So there's a lot of chatter in the early stages of the game. A lot of times it's like ways to try to stop Rogsai, and I think Kefka, like making your opponents discard cards, like
people don't like that.
People don't like that. They're going to try to stop that as much as possible. You know what I mean? So both decks will kind of get you a lot of heat at the table. Both decks are good. To me, it's too impossible to rate them truly, but from my personal bias, of course, Rogsai first.
Rogsai is better. No, that's just, I think, true. I think right now, speed is more important than resiliency. And the fact that Rograk's starting to be able to do both better than Kefka can, I think that that's going to make Rogsai just reasonably better than Kefka.
Yeah.
Just in general. Yeah.
I agree.
Pick a number 1 through 10.
6.
Cool. Oh, dude, Sisei's next. We're going to talk about Sisei
Both
next.
Both my decks, love it.
Oh, there's more of your decks that are on here. Don't worry about that. So Sisei's doing really well. Sisei's got a couple of wins over the past month, actually, which is actually really sweet to see. Let's take a look at what these decks are doing.
Not all of them are on the same long Nicol Bolas Animatu win line anymore. A lot of them have been shaving that and doing some different things.
Dude, anytime you look at one of these decks, it's like, what the heck?
What are we doing here?
Yeah.
That's the power of Sisei, is you don't really know what it can bring. Like, you never really know which direction it's going. I think that's like really, honestly, part of the strength of the deck is like people don't know exactly which way you're going for it.
Have you considered Vivian on the Hunt in your deck before?
Yeah, I've considered Vivian.
What is the Vivian on the Hunt, the Birthing Pod Vivian?
It's the Birthing Pod line. Yeah, you just, instead of the Aminatou, Nicol Bolas, Oath of Teferi, you play Kiki Jiki and Karmic Guide and Felidar Guardian, and then you just set up the Kiki Felidar Guardian with Karmic Guide with Vivian and sacrificing Sisei, I guess, or another 3-drop or whatever, and you just have to find Vivian. It's really great because all Sisei has to do is get +5/+5, and then she'll be 7/7, so she can get a 6-drop, which is Vivian. Whereas like right now, the main like, as long as I can get up to this size, win button for me is Chromatic Ori, and Chromatic Ori is bigger. It's an 7 drop, so Sisei has to be an 8 power, which means Sisei has to get +6/+6, which is the +5/+5 boost plus the addition of something else like a Exalted Trigger or something.
So you have to play like some more cards in your deck to make this work. Like,
not even exactly, because this list swapped out the Aminatou, Nicol Bolas, Oath of Teferi for Karmic Guide, Kiki Jiki, Felidar Guardian.
You just flipped everyone off. Did you notice that?
Nice. And then the Vivian too. There's probably another thing that I'm forgetting right now, Saheeli or something. And I think it's a pretty clean swap. Is Aminatou actually still in this list? Or Saheeli, rather, I mean?
No, they're not.
Saheeli,
the only other planeswalker is Teferi.
Is Teferi, okay.
So I think that makes sense.
The difference is that you can't find Felidar Guardian. So you can't piece together Kiki Jiki plus Felidar Guardian by itself. You like have to go through Vivian and then whatever. That's still a good line. My also big issue with it is that you have to go down a permanent. You have to Vivian. You have to sacrifice your commander or another 3-drop or something like that. And I have just found, like, after years of playing Birthing Pod, like, I want my win the game attempts to result in me having more stuff if I don't get there, not less stuff. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
When I get stopped, it's because I didn't like purposefully get rid of my thing to do it. And I know we just talked about Rogsai, and that's like the whole point of that deck. But with a permanent based strategy like Sisei, I don't want to be getting rid of shit to try to go through my line. I want the shit to stay if someone stops me.
It works in other decks like Rogsai because they're so fast that they can win and they can get rid of their stuff and go, well, I'm going to present a win really quickly, so I don't really care. But like in a deck like Blood Pod or Sisei, you don't have that option to win quick. So if you do get stopped, you're like, great, now my Tymna costs 5 mana and I have to completely build this back up.
Exactly. And in most situations, in like the dream situation, Sisei wouldn't be going for it unless they were sure they could win the game. So there was already Teferi or Kutzel or whatever is already in play, and they feel like it's pretty locked up or whatever. But that's not always how it works out. Sometimes there's a window earlier than you want it to be, and you feel like you have to go for it or whatever. I'm not saying that my Planeswalker line is better than this Vivian line. This Vivian line won, and this line is awesome. It's a great line. I'm just saying, for me personally, why I haven't switched to it yet is for those reasons. I kind of like the Bolas stuff. I like the Aminatou things. I don't know. I like those cards. I feel like I figured out how to use them a little bit. But there's a world that like just like Kiki Jiki or Karmic Guide is just like a better bad card.
I could see that. I guess they're so expensive.
They're both bad.
Is my main problem with it. Yeah, they're a little bit too expensive.
Both of them you have to play 4 to 5 bad cards that are just the combo. Aminatou actually kind of works with some of the other stuff. If I have a Saheeli out, I can make a hasty copy of Bloom Tender, and I can cast the Aminatou, and the Aminatou can flicker the Saheeli, which can make another hasty copy of Bloom Tender. And
that's true.
There are things you can do. Obviously, the same is true for these other cards. They're expensive and they're hard to do things, but I'm getting besides the point.
It's harder to find value like that in like Karmic Guide and Felidar Guardian. Felidar Guardian at least like works in that line.
Same
where
idea.
but like you don't have other ways to blink the Felidar Guardian again though, because you cut Aminatou. Yeah, right, exactly. Oh, that's also funny because Saheeli Rai and Felidar Guardian is an infinite combo on its own too.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Okay. Well, it's good to know that this is an option that you have for a Sisei, because I did not know that this was something that Sisei pilots could do.
Yeah.
So I can understand how that's something that you could just like completely clean up tournaments with.
Yeah, there's a ton of different ways. I know there's another list that is doing okay that is playing Warren Soul Trader, the zombie sacrifice thing to make a treasure, and Chatterfang.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I wish I remembered the line exactly offhand. Well,
because every time that you make a treasure token, you also make a 1/1 squirrel because of Chatterfang.
Boom, that's what it
and
is.
then you can sacrifice the squirrel to the Warren Soul Trader to make another treasure token and a squirrel.
So it says pay as much life as you want to make that many treasures, roughly?
And it's something that like a lot of Kennereth builds have done, because like you can reanimate either of these two creatures if they get sacrificed or something.
Which is nice because the squirrel is legendary, so Sisay can find it. The Warren Soul Trader is not, which I don't love.
Yeah.
But then you can just make 10 treasures or 15 treasures, activate Sisay 3 times, and then find Teferi in the whenever the win is.
That's all you need,
whatever,
because you don't need to make infinite. You just need to make...
You need enough.
Yeah, enough.
You need enough.
That's really cool.
That version of Sisay is great too, and both of these decks kind of do a little bit different things, and it's going to be hard for the other pilots at the table to figure out like how they're supposed to interact. A lot of the times, the answer is just like get rid of the Sisay, but some of the times, like the deck is a mana deck. That's all it is. If you get rid of the Sisay, it's just kind of like remand. You get rid of it for the turn. Sisay's coming back next turn, and if you don't have an answer then, they're going to try to win again.
Yeah, that's true.
I think it's why the deck is like so good, is that it's just consistent. It keeps winning.
Yeah, exactly. And when it is starting to win, it's very difficult to interact with too. So I think it's really got a lot of stuff going for it.
Yeah, it's hard. You're slouching.
Yeah, I feel like I'm gonna cause a lot of problems for myself in shorts this week.
How do we fix ourselves from slouching? We need a producer, a director that's like listening to us and. Yeah, I think Sisay is the best deck out of the ones we talked about. I like it more than Roxai, which I know is Roxai is like I love that deck, but I personally like the Sisay a little bit more.
The explosive potential of Roxai really early is absolutely wild, but I think that Sisay just does have a lot more going for it in terms of like how it looks to the table, the options that it has as a deck in general. I think I'll agree with you. I think Sisay is a little bit better, especially because it's been performing a little bit better right now too. So.
Plus, I think there is another Rograk deck that might be overshadowing Roxai recently.
Oh yeah, let's pull that one up here.
Should we talk about Rograk Thrasios?
This is Rograk Thrasios, yeah.
This is a deck that we've seen a ton of from a bunch of different people. I know Sam Black has done well with this deck and has done a lot of different things with like bringing just like Gaia's Cradle strategy like to the forefront of cEDH, because I feel like this has now become like another core aspect of cEDH is getting Gaia's Cradle in play and then untapping it as much as possible and using that mana to activate Thrasios.
Man, we certainly weren't kidding when we were saying there's like no red cards in these decks, but I think they've been adding Underworld Breach a little bit consistently, which means that
there's like 2 versions from what I've seen.
Yeah, there's an Underworld Breach version that plays like Gamble still.
Plays like Gamble. I think sometimes Ragavan and sometimes Song of Creation, and then the Lion's Eye Diamond Brain Freeze. From what I've seen, not all of them are on all of those things, but those are like kind of the only red spells that I've seen.
Besides Deflecting Swat and the other free one.
Flare of Duplication and Deflecting Swat are both played in the Simic version of this deck, which is playing only blue and green spells and nothing else. It's playing Gut Shot, which is free. It's playing Deflecting Swat. It's playing Flare of Duplication, but no purposeful individual red sources of mana, which I think is really interesting. And if I were to build a deck, I think I would build it that way, because you get to play, I think, a little bit more utility lands, and it makes your Earthcraft make more sense with the rest of the deck because your basics aren't as detrimental.
And you don't need 3 different basics to find either. You only need to find Island and Forest.
Right, yeah.
And then this way, it makes it way easier to make sure that your Earthcraft is always making you the 2 colors that you need. Speaking of utility lands, Deserted Temple.
Deserted Temple and Manamo, but Deserted Temple we've seen a lot more recently.
Yeah, is this another way to like untap your Gaia's Cradle?
Yeah, that's been really good. And the Eldrazi that finds a land on cast.
Oh, Sowing Mycospawn too, yeah.
Normally Sowing Mycospawn ends up being free. You already have 4 or 5 creatures out. You cast a Sowing Mycospawn to find Gaia's Cradle. Gaia's Cradle pays for the mana that you just spent on the Sowing Mycospawn, normally plus a little bit extra, or it can find the Deserted Temple or the Manamo or something like that. That card's been a really good addition to this deck, but I really think what has made the deck like actually good is Talon Gates of Madara. I think it's that land. It's the addition of Abora Breezecrawler, Talon Gates of Madara, and Gaia's Cradle. That combo has like really brought this deck like back. And when I say back, like Thrasios big mana decks have been around in cEDH for a long time. Advantage Thrasios and Dawnwaker Thrasios, these like 4-color Sands black decks that won with just activating Thrasios as much as possible. They existed before all of the bans. You're making it really obvious.
Well, I'm trying not to.
Have you soaked yourself? You look like you've really soaked yourself.
I spilled water on myself, and I was like, oh, I'm glad that he's got a lot to say right now.
There's too much eye contact.
Oh, well, I was looking at you.
Yeah, you were looking at me You're wiping all the wetness off of you.
Oh, yeah.
This deck has been, and I want to say not this deck. The deck is much different than those other versions of Thrasios decks. But Thrasios, alongside Training Grounds, alongside Biomancer's Familiar, has been a deck before, and recently it's picked up a lot of steam, I think, with the addition of Talon Gates of Madara.
Even like when medium green versions of Thrasios were so good, it was like all mana just to be able to put into Thrasios, and this can do like what that medium green Thrasios Tymna deck could do, but like up tenfold, really.
It's like, what if you took out the 15 interaction spells and then instead it was just all mana?
All mana instead, yeah. And this town ain't big enough.
Yeah, that one I don't know. I think that,
Do you bounce Rograk? Is that why? Is that good? Like, why is this card so good?
No, because you want to bounce one of your own things and then maybe something of theirs, or two of your own things. Like you want to bounce a Spellseeker or a clone of yours. You want to bounce specifically Cloud of Fairies. You want to bounce and recast Cloud of Fairies.
That seems way better than my free commander.
Yeah, bounce like Cloud of Fairies and Flesh Duplicate, and then you cast Cloud of Fairies again and then Flesh Duplicate again. That's how, in my opinion, how this deck wins is truly the secret win condition is Cloud of Fairies. I'm sorry, Ragthrust players, I'm outing you here, but Cloud of Fairies is like the best card in the deck. For some reason, like being able to untap like fucking Gaia's Cradle and Deserted Temple when they already have 6 mana. And they do it both again and then activate Thrasios. Oh, look, a tutor. I'll cast a tutor. Find a clone. The clone copies the Cloud of Fairies, untap the lands again. Go again. Da-da-da-da-da-da.
Or with this, did you just say Displacer Kitten?
I didn't, but Displacer Kitten is a thing that this deck does also.
Just so like you cast one spell and then like it makes you 50 mana then.
Yeah, exactly. And Displacer Kitten was kind of a weird one, I thought, for this deck because there aren't a lot of things that it flickers. There are 5, 6 things. They're really good things a lot of the times. They're Spellseeker and they're Cloud of Fairies like we talked about.
But now you play like Thunder Trap Trainer, which is basically Impulse on a 1/4.
Yeah.
On a 1/2.
Which is like, that's also like at worst case scenario, that's a fine thing because the thing that you go find will probably trigger your Displacer Kitten again, and then you trigger it and you go find something else. Really, I think it's the Cloud of Fairies. Like flickering the Cloud of Fairies over and over again, that's how this deck wins. And it doesn't make necessarily infinite mana when it's going for it. By the time it's going for it, it already has 15 mana or something like that. You know what I mean? And like, okay, like you counter the one thing and they just keep activating Thrasios and they just keep going.
Yeah, you don't even need infinite mana to win with Finale of Devastation at that point. You have a huge Chatterstorm, and then they all have haste and trample.
Oh my god,
like,
yeah, Chatterstorm is great. There's ways that you can make like infinite Chatterstorms basically by just like using Eternal Witness to flicker to get back the Chatterfang, recast a Chatterfang, whatever. With Earthcraft, it gets insane with Chatterfang because you just can make like pseudo infinite mana. And honestly, my favorite thing about this deck is the Enduring Vitality and Valley Floodcaller interaction.
Oh god, yeah.
When all of your animals can tap to make a mana of any color, and God forbid you have Kinnan out as well. And then with Valley Floodcaller, every time you cast something, you untap the Valley Floodcaller, which taps for a mana. The Otter, the Impulse Otter, that thing is also untapping with the Valley Floodcaller. There's like 1 or 2 other small things that can untap with the Valley Floodcaller. Like you kind of like get into this like storming off situation. The deck is really cool. Every time I see it pop off, it like dismantles me, it destroys me. I think it might be like one of the best decks in the format. Now, winning tournaments, I don't think would back that up. Blue Farm, spoilers, whatever. Blue Farm is the best deck in the format. But from what I see, this is the deck that is the most impressive to me. Like on the first like 4 turns of the game, this deck is doing the most every time I see it.
Yeah, I agree. This is always the one that like I gotta be on the lookout for because it's normally going to have access to the most amount of mana, and that means the most amount of cards at the table, which is always incredibly scary.
Their goal is 6 mana on turn 2. They're not going to keep a hand that doesn't do that until like they mulligan pretty low. So like just like keep that in mind. Like when you play against this deck, they probably will have 6 mana on turn 2 with a Thrasios and an activation ready to go. And then for turn 3 is when I normally see this deck start to get insane, and then it wins around turn 3 or 4. I rate this deck
highest is what I'm going to put it.
I play Sisay. I love Sisay. This deck has impressed me a little bit more, and I think because the main reason is because it's faster. I'm not really positive that it's any better on win rate or conversion rate. I don't actually remember. I don't know that. But for me, I think it's more impressive, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think so too.
The play style is like a little bit, I don't want to say it's easy because it's not easy, but in a tournament, Sisay is kind of stressful because you have to have your whole deck memorized pretty good and pretty quick. And if you can't pick it up, it's hard. But with this deck, you're kind of just like going. You know what I mean? It's like a tile. You're just like, I don't know what I'm going to find. I mean, there's nothing else for me to do besides activate Thrasios 4 times, so that's what I'll do. And that's not always the case. You have to be a smart player in order to get yourself into a situation like that. But for me, it's a nice deck to play because you're just like, let's see.
What does this card do?
What does this card do? Oh, that untaps Gaia's Cradle? Sure. Like, that's
do it again.
Right, yeah. Whereas Sisay have like, no, I've been constructing a very precise plan this whole time, and when you blew up my Birds of Paradise, you threw the whole thing off. Like, that can happen with Sisay sometimes. But yeah, I think this deck is, I'm going to rate it. Can I Can I rate it higher? Should I? How do
I'm rating it higher.
You're
than
rating it
Sisei,
high.
yeah.
Fine.
I think because it's seen more play than Sisei. Like Sisei has such a high learning.
Okay.
Yeah, Sisei has such a high learning curve to it. Yeah, if we look at like a lot of the metagame share, this is definitely going to be a little bit higher than Sisei.
Okay, yeah.
I think it's just Sisei is very good, but Sisei has always felt like the Bloom Titan decks to me of cEDH were like, you can get really good at Sisei and learn the lines really well, but you have to really commit to knowing Sisei and knowing what all Sisei is going to do. Like, it's not one of those decks like Rogthras that you can just like pick up and feel like, oh, okay, I can get access to each card one at a time and I can piece together a winning plan from that. Sisei requires you to know 99 cards in your deck before you can go for a strategy.
And I don't know if this is true or if this is just like because these are the decks that I feel, but I feel like Rogsai and Sisei have specifically bad matchups. There are certain decks where if I'm playing Sisei and there are 3 turbo decks at the table, I might as well concede, I feel. And that might just be like a me personally, but I feel like if there's a bunch of turbo decks, Sisei has a really hard time handling them all. I'm just not built to do it. I don't live off of Ristic Study. I don't have a ton of interaction. If there's a bunch of turbo decks, I can't do anything. And on the inverse with Rogsai, if I'm playing against like 3 Blood Farms, I feel Rogsai has a really hard time. If there's 3 Ristic Study players here that are all paying attention to Rogsai from turn 1 on, I feel like the deck really struggles. Whereas I feel like with Rogthras, and maybe it's because I just haven't played this deck so I don't know yet, it seems okay into both of those situations.
What are your bad matchups?
Right?
Yeah, like maybe a Curse Totem deck.
Right, like something that specifically silver bullets you, sure, that could be pretty bad. But a lot of the time, like, you can compete with the fast decks because you're also doing fast shit. You can win on turn 3. You have enough interaction where you can, like, try to, like, stop a turn 2 win, maybe. Not often. The deck isn't really built to do that. And it can even go into the late game because it's all mana and Thrasio. So eventually, like, you snowball so quickly. So, and maybe pilots of Rogthras, you can let me know down below what are your bad matchups that you don't like to see. But from the outsiders, I haven't really seen that deck have
I can't tell that you have any. Yeah, I wouldn't know what a bad matchup for that deck looks like. I know what good cards are against them. Like, I know that Toxic Deluge is a great card against it.
Oh, yeah.
But that doesn't mean that Tivit has a good matchup against Rogthras.
Right, yeah.
That's funny, yeah. All right, we should talk about another deck then. I want to talk about Vivi a little bit.
Yeah, let's talk about Vivi.
Because Vivi's also not winning tournaments. It's no Nadu. Let me get that straight. It's no Nadu.
It's no Nadu.
But there's a lot of cool cards that Vivi decks have been playing that just like have made Vivi a little bit better. And I've actually switched up my list a little bit more. I've cut most of the Vivi triggered doublers. So I'm only on Harmonic Prodigy and I am off of Roaming Throne and the other one.
Yeah, it's just too much extra stuff you have to do before.
Too cute.
Yeah.
Too cute at that point. Yeah, I feel like it's a little bit more win more. And there's still ways that Vivi can be good even without a curiosity on them.
It seems like the stuff that is good after you play Vivi is better. Does that make sense? Like with the clones and the Roaming Throne, you want to play Roaming Throne first and then play Vivi. So that's like 4 mana, and then so your commander is like 7 mana in that situation. Then
that's bad. Then. That's really bad.
But Vivi kind of, I feel, rewards you for playing Vivi on turn 1 or 2, and then playing a pump spell to make Vivi's mana a little bit more afterwards.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah, I'd rather do something like that. So I put a couple of pump spells, small pump spells in the deck. One of them being Crowd's Favor, which is a red one, but it's free because it has Convoke. So you just tap Vivi and you get a +1 boost to Vivi's power, a Vivi trigger, so it's really a +2 boost.
So that's kind of, it ends up being sort of a Rite of Flame, a 0 mana, make 2 mana, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Which is a +2 ritual, which is like Dark Ritual status of that amount of mana.
And keep in mind, if you have Curiosity on Vivi already, it also draws you 3 cards.
It's insane,
yeah, for free. I put in Shore Up, which is a Stella Lee card.
The hexproof it gives and untaps
Vivi? So this will be 1 blue mana to also give Vivi a +2 boost, but it also could untap Vivi too.
Sure.
So maybe if I went to combat and then I want to be able to convoke Vivi with the other one, like that is something I can do.
It can work with some of the other stuff. Yeah, that makes sense.
And then I also put in, what's the name of the card that says switch target creature's power and toughness and draw a card?
It's not Switcheroo, but Switcheroo is like a 5 mana sorcery that switches control of 2 cards. I don't know. I can't remember the name. I know what you're talking about, but I can't think of the real name of it. It switches the power. Is it an Is it card? Is it like a...
No, it's just 1 blue.
Oh, okay. Okay. Wasn't there a card that was like a split card or something that switched the power and toughness of two things, but it didn't state on the card until end of turn, so they had to like errata it or something because what it did was like
remember
it like
that.
Permanently switched the power and toughness?
That's so funny. Yeah, I don't remember the name of that card, but I do remember that.
There's got to be a list somewhere of all of the cards that they had to errata on day one. They just did that recently, right? There was a card, the removal spell, the green removal spell.
They did, because it said that you could target any creature with the +1/+0.
And make any two creatures fight.
And then you could 2-for-1 them with that.
That's so good, right?
Yeah, that would be crazy. Yeah. That's so funny.
Yeah.
Twisted Image is the name of the card that I'm thinking about.
Twisted Image.
Which I think is actually the best of all of these, because not only does it give Vivi, with including the trigger, a +4 bump.
That's a huge amount of mana.
Exactly, yeah. But it also replaces itself in your hand.
Draws a card, yeah.
Which is nice. The other day I actually had it draw me a card without Curiosity on Vivi, and it just like happened to be the thing that found me the land or my land drop, so I could play my land and then still be able to interact on my next turn before I could get Curiosity down.
That's good. So you have 3 pump spells from what I've heard. A free one, a cantripping one that makes a ton of mana, and then one that grants protection.
Yes.
That seems like fine. Like all of those seem like their floor is not too terrible.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I guess if you don't have VV out, they're garbage.
If you don't have VV out there, they are garbage. But I think that that's okay in the name of speed. Like in order to help speed the deck up, I'd rather take out those bad cards, which arguably are also bad unless I have VV out too, right? Like Roaming Throne isn't good unless I have VV as just a 4-mana 4/4.
If your deck is good because your commander is good. Now, this isn't always the case, but I feel like there are a lot of situations where you should be trying to get the commander out as quickly as possible. If what the commander offers is value and engine, get that thing out quickly as possible and don't try to set up beforehand. Set up after.
Yeah.
Get the VV out first, then pump her up.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. Yeah. I put Gut Shot in the deck too.
Oh, Gut Shot's so good. Tyler fucked my day up the other day. He was playing Kark Timna, and I told him, he's like, I don't know what to put in. I said, you should put Gut Shot back in. He put it in, and it was a dog token Gut Shot. He said, this is Gut Shot. And we played, and then he fucking wrecked my day. I was like, God damn it. I should have told you to put stupid Gut Shot in your deck.
Dude, and Gut Shot in here, like, it's so good. The Rog Rack is like a great little target for it if you need it to be. And just to help you draw 3 cards.
Yeah. It's just a free spell, I feel like. But any free spell that does something.
Yeah, it just helps me keep going in VV.
Specifically because with Curiosity, any free instant or sorcery, or no, non-creature, right? VV's non-creature?
VV's non-creature,
Insane.
So like Mox Amber and stuff like that,
Just a free non-creature is good.
I put Light Up the Stage in my deck too the other day. And you may play until your next turn. Criminally underrated set of words. Like it helps me find land drops then too, because I did cut a land for some of these cards as well. But I'm now
I went up a land in Rogside recently.
How many lands do you have?
26. I was 25. I went up to 26.
Wow, that's funny. I'm at 26, including MDFCs in VV.
Okay, yeah, I'm at 26. Period. No MDFCs.
That's interesting. Wow. Well, you're also now on a whole new strategy.
A little bit.
I would like to get my One Ring in play and a 1-mana artifact that I have to put a mana into to untap.
I'm not exactly trying to do those things. That's still my plan B is the key thing. It's the B plan. I don't think I removed anything.
When you call it the key plan, that makes me think it's the A plan.
No, it's not, because it's the most important plan. It's because key is like B.
Okay, now I understand.
The most important plan is still is Necropotence. That's the turn one as quickly as possible. But from a side, I think I like 26 lands in very fast decks.
Yeah. Now I have one last thing I want to ask you about VV before we continue. I'm seeing a lot of decks that are playing cards that say like pip X, draw or exile X cards, and then you may play them, or they're in your hand or whatever. In VV. Yeah.
As like just a way to draw a huge clump all at once.
Should I be thinking about that too?
There are times where I feel like that is something a lot of cEDH decks don't exactly have, is a way to draw a big chunk of cards right now. That's why Rogsai is good. It's because it's one of the few decks that has a way to do such a thing, because a lot of the cards that do that are way too expensive. All of the cards that say draw a bunch of cards right now and put them right into your hand, that effect is so strong, they are a lot of mana a lot of the time.
And it works in VV because you can activate VV. You push VV and then you get like 11 mana that you can put into this to be able to draw a ton.
Right, so if it just costs like 2 mana and a VV push, then I like it a lot more. I like that effect a lot more because I think just drawing a big cluster of cards all at once is good.
But it's not something that I can do the same turn that I'm like trying to win with VV. Like I feel like a lot of the scenarios that I've gotten to with VV is I cast VV and then on my next turn I want to be doing a Curiosity effect, and then I can normally like put something together from there.
So you don't want to spend all of your mana on one big draw effect. You want to spend all of your mana on a couple of things.
I don't know that like I've been in many scenarios where I'm untapping with VV at 11 as much as I used to be.
So what you're doing is kind of like you have VV in play, you pass, you untap, you put Curiosity on, you cast like maybe 1, 2, 3 spells, you draw 6 or 9 cards, and you go, oh, there's something here. Press VV button just for a few mana, just for 5 or 6 mana.
5 or 6, yeah.
And then win the game right there.
That's normally how it's been going for me when I can put like the Curiosity together.
That makes sense.
But maybe these are for if you can't get one of your Curiosity effects together, like you can still storm off with VV, deal 11 damage to the table, and then play Finale of Promise?
Maybe.
Play bonus round? Not bonus round. What's the one I'm thinking of? The other finale, the blue finale.
You don't have a ton of tutors in this deck. So you're having ways to draw a chunk of cards. I don't know. I think
doesn't seem as great. Like I feel like I don't want Blue Sun Zenith in my deck.
Yeah. And from what you've described just now, the way VV plays out, that makes a lot of sense to me. Of just like, you don't need to draw a shitload of cards. You need to draw like 6 or 9 cards. And that's like enough. And I don't think the X spell really feeds into that. Now, what you said is like having that as a backup might be nice, but like your backup should be like, VV's dead. Now what? This card is terrible when VV's dead, right?
Yeah.
So like your backup strategy
I feel like I need to find Hullbreaker Horror now at this point. And I gotta try to do something with this.
Your backup should be. I feel like it should be VV agnostic because VV will have a big target on his head. Killing VV with the Curiosity on the stack is not only a 2-for-1, but it's like the necessary thing that you must do. So everyone's going to be prepared and ready to do it. So your backup should be not a big
Underworld Breach is really what my backup is.
Boom.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I think this card is not good in VV. But VV, I still have high hopes for VV, and I think the reason why it hasn't won yet is because too much hype, people are looking at it, and also I don't think people have found the right way to build a deck yet. I think it'll take some time before it gets good. I think there's a lot of options.
Yeah, I think so too. I think some of these pump spells have been a pretty good way to go. I've been enjoying them.
Yeah.
Twisted Image, the Convoke one have both been super good for me so far.
Yeah,
that makes sense. But I have not gotten the chance to play with them a lot.
Yeah, so you got to get some more games in. 30
I definitely want to get more games in, yeah.
I think this is worse than Rogthras, worse than Sisay, but there. It's better than Kefka, and is that all we talked about so far?
Where do you think it is between Rog, Sai, and Kefka?
I like Roxai more. I'm allowed to like it more.
So I'm the VV player.
Yeah.
I think Rogsai is better than VV.
Wait, you're going to use this as politics later on.
I'm going to use this
I think VV is better than Rogsai.
I'm going to use this as politics later on, but like VV's good because of Curiosity.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's going to be an insane ritual. Rograk is always an insane ritual for you. Like the Rograk thing is always going on.
Not always, but I know what you mean. There's more. I have more Curiosities in Rogsai than you
can go a lot faster.
There's a chunk of cards that work well with my commander, I suppose. Have we only talked about 5 commanders so far?
Yeah.
Should we do like a part 1, part 2 to be continued after we'll do 6 and 6? We've talked about 5 so far, right?
Yeah.
And you had 12 on your list. So should we'll talk about 1 more?
We'll talk about 1 more.
And then that'll be it. And then we'll come back to it next week.
I'll tell you what. Let's talk about.
We talked about most of my decks. We talked about one of your decks? Or should we
just talked about one of my decks.
Okay, we'll save a tally for next week then.
We got to say Don't talk.
Don't spoil it. A little tease. That's all.
There's going to be a lot of play to win decks in next week's episode. So let's talk about a deck that's not really a play to win deck right now.
Yeah.
And that's Glarb.
Oh yeah. Although I did talk about Glarb a lot when it came out.
Because you were on Glarb, but I don't think of Glarb as like a play to win deck.
No, not necessarily.
Like it's not really associated with any of us in particular.
A little bit, but not much. I agree. Once I put Glarb down, I haven't picking it back up. Mainly because what Glarb ended up being really good at is control. It's like the closest we have to a control deck most of the time.
And we're getting away from control being good in the meta.
I don't think it's been good since a long time. I think Glarb kind of fills a role that wasn't really there for the past few years of like control.
I'm sorry. I'm considering like mid-range as control.
Yeah.
Like Tivit kind of plays the control game because it needs to stay alive.
You're right.
If you play Toxic Deluge in your deck, you are a control deck.
I think for cEDH right now, that's true. Yeah.
Because we don't have the same aggro control mid-range rock, paper, scissors.
Different, yeah.
We have mid-range aggro, which is combo.
Yeah, for a while
stacks.
It was stacks, mid-range, and combo. Combo was like the really fast decks. Stacks was the really late game, and then mid-range was just everything else. Recently, I don't feel like this is true at all. I think it's control decks, which is Toxic Deluge decks.
Yeah.
It's big mana decks, that's like its own archetype. Is Gaia's
We haven't talked about any of. We talked about
Rogthras.
some of the big mana decks, but there's a lot more big mana decks to come.
And then it's turbo decks. That to me, that's the triangle that I see recently. The control is what everyone has been calling mid-range, and I'm calling it control because a lot of
classically that's what it is.
It's you draw a bunch of cards until you can win in kind of what is our late game.
I wouldn't play Reverent Silence in a non-control deck.
Yeah, not at all. Reverent Silence is the for free destroy all enchantments basically.
Yeah, because you control a forest.
Right. Yeah. This card to me is a control card because it's an answer. You're looking to put answers in your deck. Even a lot of the times, Tim the Crom is a weird situation because it can kind of fill several different roles. But I think most of the time when I see Tim the Crom, it's filling that control role. It's staying alive. It's just trying to like not die for the first several turns of the game. And to me, that's like a control thing. Now, we call a lot of these decks mid-range decks because they can go both way. Tim the Crom can cast Adnos on turn 2 and win the game. But they oftentimes play out what is more like a control strategy. And then like Primeval Titan strategies or like big mana decks, which is its own version of mid-range. That's to me like a full-blown
It's
archetype.
a separate kind. Yeah, it's because what the big mana decks can do is just like they go over the top in a way that the mid-range decks can't compete with, and the fast decks no longer have a way to get over top of them.
Maybe mid-range isn't even there at all. Maybe it's control big mana. Big mana is bigger than control, and then aggro combo.
I could see that, but I will tell you this one Garb list that I'm looking at is a secret Lumra deck.
Okay, big mana trying to go over the top.
Big mana try to go over the top. So maybe that is what Glarb needs, is more of a kick in the shorts. Is that if you really want to play Glarb, because it's also not winning tournaments, maybe the classic, I have to play these 4 mana cards because this is what my commander does.
If we have determined, and I don't know if this is necessarily true, that like mid-range hell is the spot to be at, and what I'm calling now control is that mid-range hell of like, let's all try to grind, let's stay alive, whatever. Normally, traditionally in 60 card Magic, I think what beats control is our decks that go over the top, is like the big mana decks.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Like
yeah,
those are the decks that are like good. Is that true? Am I making that up? Big mana decks go over the top of control decks, or control decks are supposed to go over the top of big mana decks?
No, control decks can stop the big mana decks because the big mana decks have to put a lot of resources into getting one big thing out there. The control deck just says, fuck that big thing.
Okay, so then maybe the control decks are closer to what mid-range decks are. They go both ways, and the big mana decks just go over top of them.
I don't know. How does Tron do versus
like blue-white control?
Yeah, I imagine Tron has a hard time against blue-white control.
I think so, yeah. But I know that like Jund is classic mid-range and Tron wallops Jund because Jund is classic mid-range. So that's what I thought.
Yeah, big mana wallops mid-range.
On mid-range, yeah. And then maybe control wallops on big mana, so maybe we need true control. So maybe that, I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about anymore. What else do you think about Glarb?
I don't really have much else to say about Glarb besides that. Besides, maybe I think Glarb just needs to go in a different direction.
Yeah.
If it wants to be super good, because it is not doing great, but it's still seeing play in the format.
It's presence.
You're going to run into it in tournaments.
Yeah.
Because I think it's the remnants of a mid-range hell scenario. But there's pods where you're gonna feel like you're in the middle of mid-range hell, but there's pods you're gonna get into now that are gonna feel like this format is lightning fast. We've talked about Rockside, we talked about Vivi, which is also leading towards speed a little bit more. Even next week we'll talk about more fast decks as well. So like there's a lot of speed that's coming. So I don't think you can just like go in and reliably estimate that the format is going to be slow, that you're gonna be able to get away with heuristic studies early and have them draw you tons of cards over the course of many turns.
Even the slow decks can win on turn 3. It feels oftentimes to me like every pod that I play in is kind of like almost a different format. You know what I mean? Depending on the decks that I'm playing against, it feels wildly different. We're waiting on turn 2 or 3, or we're going until turn 7 or 8.
Yeah.
It depends so much.
It's very rare that I find something that there's like in between. I'm either playing the game for 3 hours or for 30 minutes.
Out of the 6 decks that we have talked about today, in part 1 of the best decks in cEDH.
Oh shoot, we gotta put Glarb on our ranking list somewhere.
I'm putting it there right now.
Oh.
For me, at the bottom, I have Glarb.
I also would put Glarb at the bottom, too.
Then it's so hard to do it from the bottom. Then is it Vivi?
No, then it's Kefka.
Oh, yeah. Then it's Kefka. Then it's Vivi.
Then Vivi. And then Rograk Silas.
Then Rograk Silas. Then Sisay. And the best deck of the 6 that we talked about today is Rograk Thrasios.
But that's just the start of where we're going here.
I feel like we almost got close to like an every
perfect
other situation.
Right now,
because we didn't talk about the other 6 decks that are popular in the format. Guess which ones they are.
Or don't. Just be surprised.
Thanks so much for watching. If you like to support us directly, you can do so on Patreon, like our $100 patrons.
Dan Mendez.
Cumulative Upkeep MTG.
Mr. Jerby.
The Cardboard Cookbook.
Penguin Man 0089.
Eli the Magic Guy.
David Newman.
Pat Fires.
Spangler.
Demetrius Clark.
Larceny Roars.
Your Boy Blue.
Sparky B.
Insomnia.
SC Phillip.
Old and Groupie.
Zach Hartley.
Reactive.
Sean in the Ice.
Gare Bear Garrett.
Mace the Ace.
Luke Cook.
Connor Sitbon.
Joshua Day.
Peter Stewart.
Cornell Wild.
Uncle Butts.
Kawaja A. Hamid.
Scott Hawk.
And Baby G-Bess. If you want to pick up any of our merch, you can do that at playtowinmtg.com.
Thank you, Dragon Shield, for supporting the show. Use code PLAYTOWIN5 at our affiliate link down below for 5% off.
Follow us on social media for more content.
Thank you for watching.
See you next time. Z-Trap.
Hunter the Warlock.
John Koba.
The Gaming Kinkajou.
Dan the Man.
Sarcastic.
Bill Bob.
Mystic Muffin Man.
Zachary Coulson.
Jabaha.
Dalton Poteet.
Justin.
Man Solo.
Jan Wildfang.
Thomas Bueno.
And David Nelson.
Oh, it's fucking. Oh, it's like a fake thing. Should I? No, I'm not gonna answer it.